Hi, this is Lisa Charlian. Today I'll tell you the story about when God showed me that He wanted me to go to Israel. And I said yes, and I went there. And that was an amazing experience. I had been a Christian for about a year, 11 months. And yeah, I was searching for a Bible college that I could attend later. And I went to the homepage of the three largest Bible schools in Norway and Sweden. And when I came to the Swedish Bible school, there was a pop-up commercial that came up, and it said, "Would you like to go with us to Israel?" And in my heart, it just exploded. Yes, I have to go there. I need to go. And I didn't know why. I mean, I had read the Bible for about a year almost, but I hadn't paid any attention to that. It said Israel. That was, for me, just a country far, far away. Of course, all my life I've been hearing about Jews, but I didn't have any, I didn't relate to it because it was, I don't know. So what I'm saying is that in this pop-up commercial, it could have said, "Do you want to go to with us to Africa, to Uganda, or Kenya?" It wouldn't have made a difference for me. I just heard this inside instantly when this question popped up. "Do you want to go with us to Israel?" I knew that I had to. I have to. And I didn't know why. And I signed up for that trip. I was going to go with that Bible college. I knew no one there. And I was joining their Israel trip. And I didn't know how to pay for it. I just knew that God would pay for it because I knew that He was the one. He was the one who had told me, "Yeah, go." Wow, it was so amazing. And that was in January 2001. And I think it was during the next week. There was something happening in Israel. I don't still know too much about it. I think they call it the Intifada. And I knew nothing about politics at that point. And so what I understood was that it was really dangerous in Israel at this point, and even the Norwegian government, they said they didn't recommend anyone to go there. Don't go be a tourist in Israel now. It's dangerous more than before. But I had an enormous peace. I knew I was safe. This didn't scare me at all. And that was not typically me. So it was something else. It was the peace of God. And I'll tell you this. I didn't have a clue where I was going to get the money. But out of the blue, and it looked like a coincidence, I got the money I needed. I think maybe April or something. It was just the right time to pay for the trip that I, by faith, signed up for in January. And it was exactly the amount I needed plus pocket money. It was perfect. So that was an amazing experience when those money was put into my lap. And it was actually money that was mine that I should be expecting, but I had forgotten all about it. And it was the perfect amount. So I really saw that God's hand was on this. His finger was in this. Okay, so I went with this Bible college to Israel, and it was an amazing experience. We were only there for 7 or 8 days, and they pulled us through the most various program ever. We went everywhere. I was so new to everything, so I didn't even know where I was. I mean, we rafted down the Jordan River. We went by boat on the Galilee Sea. We were in Masada Heights. We were everywhere. And I got to see so many places. I went to where Jesus had the Sermon on the Mount. We went to his grave. It was empty. The tomb was empty. Yes. We saw the Golgotha, which means skull. How do you say that? Place of the skull in English, I think. In Norwegian, hodeskallestedet. Yeah. So we went to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was he was sweating blood out of fear, where he took all our fear and anxiety upon himself. Yeah. I should probably mention more places, but that's what comes to mind right now. And it was an amazing experience. I even had this experience. We were going to the Dead Sea. Okay, so we were in Jerusalem at the hotel. Oh, let me tell you this. Even when we were in Jerusalem, there was an explosion on a bus. A terrorist blew up himself and the entire bus and people who were there. That was just horrible. And at the same time, we had this enormous peace. It was in Jerusalem where we was, but it didn't affect us. We thought it was really sad, but we weren't scared. And usually this Bible college or ministry, they had like 15, 20 buses of people on their trips to Israel because they went every year. But on this trip, it was only 2 buses. And everybody was telling them how God told them to go on this trip, and no one was fearful of it. They had no fear. None of us had fear. We just knew that we had to go. We went to Knesset, and we sat in the chairs there even. Oh, it was it was quite an experience. And we went in this what do you say, like a bus to where is that? It's a place where it's on the border to it starts with an E. I don't even know where I was, but we had the glasses was like you couldn't shoot through the glasses. I don't know how to say that in English. And it was quite an experience. Yeah, we met a lot of IDF soldiers, and they were smiling and greeting us, and it was, wow. It was different from being in Norway, I can tell you that. Anyways, we were going to the Dead Sea, and we were on the hotel in Jerusalem, and that day I had been drinking 2 liters of water when I should have been drinking 4 liters of water. And this was in June, which is very hot in Israel. So during the night, I got dehydrated. Well, I was sick because I had been dehydrated. And not going into details, but everything was coming out everywhere. I'm sorry. I couldn't hold water, nothing. I was really sick, and in the morning I was almost, crunching together, trying to walk. I couldn't stand up straight because I was so in pain, and my stomach was painful, and I was throwing up everything I tried to drink, and I could just forget about eating. And they told me, the leaders of this trip, oh, you should stay at the hotel and just rest. You need to be well. And I was like, no way. I need to see the Dead Sea. And we were gonna sleep in the desert that night. I think we were going to the Masada Heights and then the Dead Sea. Yeah, so I didn't get to see the Masada Heights, actually. I was in the bus. And then the Dead Sea. And then at nighttime we were gonna sleep in a Bedouin camp in the desert with camels, and wow. So I was shivering, and I shivered my way all to the bus. I was going in there, and they were just looking at me like, okay. And I brought salt and water because I knew I needed to take the salt so I could so my body could keep the water inside. And so every now and then I had to ask the bus driver to stop so I could go out and throw up. And and then I just drank as much as I could and had some salt, and just I laid there on the two seats in front in the bus, and I was just shivering and praying to God. And what the most exhausting thing was, all these nice Christians coming to me and like, how are you? How are you? How are you? I was like, no, I just want to pray and rest and be well. Anyways, so I had to stay in the bus when the others went to, I think it was the Masada Heights. You who are you who have been to Israel, you probably know much better than me. I've been there a second time later, but I'm still not familiar with Israel. And yeah, I really, really, really want to go back when it's safe, or when God tells me to. Yeah. So I was praying like this: God, you need to help me so that I can bathe in the Dead Sea. Please help me. Amen. And when we came to the Dead Sea, there is a cafeteria there, and I walked out of the bus. I was as sick as I had been. I was crunched together, I was shivering, and I was walking with very short steps because I had no power, no energy. And I went into this cafe and I sat down by the table. And this is what happened. It was like as if you would snap your fingers. I was all well, 100% good. It wasn't like a gradual thing. It was just when I sat down on that chair in that cafeteria, I was all well. Instantly. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, I'll go and bathe. This is the prayer for my, this is the answers to my prayers. And I went downstairs, and I went to the wardrobes and I put on sunscreen, which I'm not sure I need to do that because this is, I don't know, you'll tell me in the comment section. Anyways, I put on sunscreen, and I'm not sure if you need it because it's so low, it's so far down from sea level. So I've heard that the sun doesn't reach too much. You don't get burned that fast. Maybe that's wrong. Anyways, I put on the sunscreen and the bathing suit, and I was bathing, floating on this water, and it's such an amazing experience with all the salt in the water, the salty water, and I just had a great time. I was not sick. I was strong. It was an amazing experience. I had just been saved for 1.5 years almost, and it was, wow, it was a miracle to experience this. And one of the leaders of this trip, he didn't understand that I was healed, and he just looked at me and he's like worried, and he's like, well, you have been so sick, maybe you should go up now. And I was thinking, okay, this is hard to explain to anyone, so I won't even try. And I had been swimming for a while, not while bathing, floating mostly. And I was okay, I was satisfied. I had this experience, and I was thinking, okay, no problem, I'm done. And I went and changed to my regular clothes, and I went up in the cafe, and I was so much looking forward to eating something. So I bought a bowl of soup and a piece of bread. And I sat down and I put the spoon in the soup, and bang, like that. I was as sick as I was before. Not gradual, just like that. I couldn't eat the soup. I couldn't eat 1 spoon of the soup. I was so sick. I just wanted to throw up. And I couldn't eat the bread, nothing. Couldn't drink water, nothing. I was so sick. It was amazing. But it was so fascinating to see this, even though, God, he could have made me well, I know that, but I don't know the answer to this, except it was very, very clear to me that I got what I asked for he fixed it so that I could bathe in the Dead Sea and have that experience. So I took the piece of bread. I went back I shivered my way back into the bus. And I just took this bread and put it in a paper towel or napkin, or what do you call it. And I was trying to take a little piece of this bread every now and then. But it took me hours. I finished a piece of bread in the night when we were in the Bedouin camp in the desert. We were sleeping outside, which was an amazing experience. So during that night, somewhere, I don't know, 2-3 o'clock, I don't remember, I felt my energy coming back and I was all well. I had been drinking as much as I could every time I threw up. So I was drinking and I was getting salt. So my body was starting to get really well. And I could finish this piece of bread, which was all I could eat all day long. Yeah. So, yeah, this was so special. I don't know what more to tell you. It was an experience being there, seeing the Orthodox Jews with their long curly hair and beard, and it was so special. Being at the Wailing Wall. Wow. We had a guide. He had moved back to Israel. Well, he had moved to Israel when he was 24. He was a Jew. And he was not religious, or how to say, he didn't believe in God. He didn't want anything to do with God. He was quite bitter because I think it was his mom. She was in Auschwitz. So him as a boy, he had to grow up with a mom who screamed in terror. He would wake up with her screaming. She would have such nightmares and horrors and traumas. And he couldn't understand that God was real and that God was loving. And I talked a lot to him because I was so on fire. It was so real to me. Everything, that Jesus is real and God is real and he's good. So he was like, I don't know how to say it. He was almost a little aggressive when he not aggressive, but he was, the discussion was heated, But at the same time, he was drawn to me all the time, asking me questions, and I got to tell him so much about Jesus, and I saw how his heart was melting. I've been wondering so much what happened to him later. And he was telling me about the hypocrisy that he saw, like he would tell that his neighbor would come in to him because it was a Sabbath and the neighbor couldn't touch, and he couldn't flip a switch or do anything, so the neighbor would come and ask him, "Hey, you don't practice the Sabbath, can you turn on my TV?" He was like, what's the point with this? But I had I don't know, I would just tell him about my real, my own experiences with Jesus. So anyways, there are so much things to tell. I forgot to tell you this in the beginning of the story. Wow. I'm not going to edit it in. I'm going to tell you now. So after I had signed up for this trip by faith, not knowing how I was going to pay for it, I just knew that I was going there. When I came to Israel, and someone else on this trip said, "Oh, you came on by yourself, on your own." And I just realized, like in June when I was in Israel, oh yeah, that's right, I did. I hadn't even thought about it because I just knew I had to go. Anyways, so let's go back to January when I signed up, and then the first thing is that this Intifada starts, which I only understood that it was really difficult times in Israel, dangerous, and then the next thing is that I went to this. Okay, so I went to a typical school for Norway, which we call folk high school. Doesn't matter, but I was at the school, and I went to the library, and there were only 2 computers in this library, and I sat down by one of them, and after I sat down, I saw that there was this pocketbook just next to the computer. And I picked it up and I looked at it. And it said a handbook for Israel. Mind you, I just ordered this trip. I signed up to go there. Just a week before maximum. And I was like, handbook for Israel. And I still don't know to this day who in this school was interested in Israel. I mean, I have no idea. There was no one who was talking about it, or I don't know. Anyways, and I opened this book and I read in the introduction, and it was just 1 page, and at the end it said, if you are thinking about going to Israel, you need to read this handbook, or you should read this handbook. And I read it, and it was telling about the different wars. You know, Israel has won so many wars, and you cannot explain how they did it, except that God's hand is on them, protecting them above. God is protecting them. And it was telling like numbers, how much, how to say that in English, but like weapons and soldiers they had, or artillery, or what do you call this in English? I don't even know in Norwegian. Military power or whatever. And it was nothing compared to the surrounding countries who were attacking them. But still, Israel won. So it was very giving just the numbers, very like talking in the natural. But also there was some few stories that was supernatural, where they would tell that, you know, soldiers from the surrounding countries who would run back from the Israel border and run back into their country and say that we can't go in there. Why? Because there are men that are 3 meters high and in white robes walking on the border. We cannot cross them. That is, of course, angels. And yeah, so it was telling. Yeah, it was very interesting to read that book before I went there. Yeah. I must tell you, I love Israel. I love the Israeli people. I love the Jews. I love Hebrew. I love Hebrew. It's like my heart jumps when I read. I don't know Hebrew at all, but it's just, it touches my heart. And I've been I've been studying a little bit. Like a little bit. I saw like 4 hours of teachings on just the first verse in the Bible in Hebrew. If you read, there are so much you can read if you. There is. I'm not talking about the Bible codes. Like, I don't know how to say that, but it's something. No, I'm talking about when you. It's supernatural, and if you read the Bible, so that it glorifies God, that's what I'm talking about. So, if you take the. I cannot tell you all about this, but it's so interesting. Just the first word in the Bible is pointing straight to the Son, Jesus. If you go to the 2 first letters in the first word, it says Bar, which is Son. And if you look on the pictograms for just that first word, it says that the Son of God. Wait, let me see if I'm saying this right. The Son of God's gift on the cross. Am I saying it right? It's something like that. You should look this up on YouTube or somewhere. It's amazing. It's yeah, I cannot talk about all of that. It's 4 hours of teachings. It's amazing. Anyways, I've been, of course, watching everything, not everything, but so much that has about Israel now since October 7th in 2023. It's such horror stories that I cannot take them in, I have to distance myself every now and then, but there are some stories that has gripped my heart so much. And now with the hostages, I don't know all of their names because the names are so new to me, but I do remember some of the names, and I remember a lot of faces and a lot of stories and a lot of families where the family have lost one, or there is one standing left and the others are gone. They are dead. And now there is 24 hostages alive out of the 59 hostages that are left. And my heart goes out. I feel desperate. I feel so desperate to see those hostages released from their chains and coming out of the dark tunnels and houses that they're kept in, and coming out in freedom back to their families and their loved ones, and be able to eating food, get help medically, and yeah. And I must say I am about to. It's very. I get emotional, and I'm so sorry that my government hasn't supported you, Israel. No condolences. When I grew up, we were a really Israel-friendly country. The government was, really Israel-friendly, and we grew up where the teacher would read Anne Frank's diary to us loud in school, and all kids were taught that we were told about the persecution of the Jews and how that was unfair, of course, and horrible. But now it's not like that in Norway. It's not like that. And I'm ashamed of my own government, how they are acting. I follow the Bibas family story and the burial, or the burial. And Yarden, I'm so extremely sorry. And and this family, I don't know how to pronounce their names. It's this family where the dad who had died, he just came back in a coffin. And it's the story where he sees his daughter bleeding to death in his arms on October 7th, 2023. And I feel so extremely sorry for the two kids and mom who's left. And all the hostages in where you see these propaganda videos that is released by the terrorists, where you could see hostages being left behind in desperation, and it's horrible. I'm so sorry. I have from before, because I just love. Israel is touching my heart so much, and so I learned a song. It's a song for the Sabbath. It's Psalm 92 in Hebrew. So I'm saying I learned it in Hebrew. I don't know if you agree though. So I'm gonna try to sing it for you, but don't laugh, or actually you might. since I don't know Hebrew, I do know what I'm singing because I know the lyrics in English and I know this psalm in Norwegian. But the pronunciation in Hebrew, I don't know. But this is a tribute, or this is from my heart to you, Israel, to Yarden. It's for Kfir and Ariel and Shiri. This is, Tov Lehodot L'Adonai ולזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר הסתיך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינוך, להגיד בבוקר הסתיך ואמונתך בלילות, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועליך, במעשה ידיך רנן, מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר הסתיך ואמונתך בלילות, להגיד בבוקר הסתיך ואמונתך בלילות. That's my Israel story. I'm so much looking forward to going back to Israel. I hope God will allow that for me and my son. We have been praying about that for years. And God bless you, Israel. I love you. I just came back here to tell you that after I thought I'd finished this little video, I just started sobbing. And I'm coming back to tell you, Israel, that's what my reaction was, and I want you to hear it. I want you to know how much my heart goes out to you. I've been sobbing and sobbing over Kfir, the lion cub, and Ariel, the lion of Elohim, God's lion, and Shiri, the song. I've been sobbing over Yarden. God has to strengthen you. And God has to strengthen so many of you. I'm praying for you. And my heart goes out to you. God bless you. In school, they would teach us songs like Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Alechem. In Norwegian, det Guds fred jeg vil gi deg. Det Guds fred jeg vil gi deg. Det Guds fred jeg vil gi deg. Det Guds fred, Guds fred, Guds fred jeg vil gi deg.